what was your initial reaction when you saw just the level of devastation happening, in your own state?
I mean, wow, really? Now? um, we were just starting to see the light here at the end of the tunnel, and then you got a crippling freeze that comes in, worse than 70 years. And then it immediately hit me that, like, it's sort of a invisible disaster in that, you get a fire, you get a tornado, you get a hurricane, it's graphic. Snapshot tells a story. And this is so many of the places, everything kind of looks okay from the outside, but it's once you get through the front door that you see the long-term quiet devastation that just water damage can cause. I mean, the first thing was the power, but that became pretty assured that most of that was coming back quickly. And then it was obvious. I remember the first thing I said after Camilla came to me, it was like, "Hey, we got to do something." I was like, "Texas needs plumbers." And then, they opened up, allowed out-of-state plumbers to come get licensed. But then, just so many different people that now are out of their home or couldn't have clean water. And those sound like, we stereotype those with like third world country problems. And then you hear the stories of the people who didn't know what to do in a freeze. The tragic stories of people bringing the barbecue pit inside and the carbon monoxide, and then you're like, oh, we don't have a how-to playbook. We deal with heat. We can deal with that. We can give us 117-degree summer and we'll figure that out. We're used to that, but we just weren't ready for a freeze like this.
Yeah, there was like a horror movie element to it where everything looks okay on the surface, but
Yeah.
it's just a disaster. Did you guys suffer any personal property damage?
We had one pipe bust on the second floor, so we had to pull some walls down in the first floor. We just 2 days ago got to where we didn't have to boil the water, and we had a gutter drop. I mean, but relatively not much.
Were you surprised at the systemic failure of the power grid and of our water supply and how vulnerable it left so many people?
Yeah. I mean, look, it was a blind spot, and I suppose that's what it was probably seen as when ERCOT brought it up 10 years ago. It's kind of one of those. It's kind of like, I guess it was seen as sort of that insurance you didn't want to pay for, you
Right.
know.
But the price on the back end is lives and
Major,
yeah.
major, and then that's the long term question. What can we do now that so it does not happen again? Now I've been told that it's relatively inexpensive for a lot of these businesses and places to pay the money to get these to insulate correctly, even to get some of these energy systems insulated correctly. But that we just didn't want to do it, or didn't choose to do it 10 or however many years ago it was suggested to. And now, yeah, here we go. Now we're paying it. We got tagged, and it's now. I don't. It's yeah. FEMA's coming, state's coming, but when you hear immediate term people who stories of people elders, kids are displaced, can't go back, can't go to school, elders can't get back in their house. Disabled people lost the ramp to go into their house, and yeah, they're being told that'll be fixed, but that'll be fixed by May 30th. You're like, well, May 30th, January, February, March, April. That's not going to really work. There's a lot of immediate needs, and then comes the road of like, okay, so now what? Do businesses need to step up and go, hey, this needs to be understood that we all need to pay that extra to get insulated the right way, so it doesn't happen again? Yeah.
Do you think it's a negative reflection on Texas's kind of go it alone attitude?
Well, I mean, in some eyes, for sure. And it happened at a time where I'm sure there are people in the world, in the United States specifically, going, "Oh yeah, oh look at you guys, nana nana boo boo. Yeah, you guys are just rolling down there. The world's moving there, and you got it. And I've got your own. You're independent. You're self-reliant. You got it. Yeah. Well, look what just happened. Mother Nature just threw a wrench in there, and something you weren't prepared for. Um, I haven't nestled into what my opinions are on what or why someone did wrong, or what we could have done, and what was it, whether that, how much that's attached to our "hey, we'll go it alone" attitude. So I don't know enough about that to give an opinion on that. But yeah, in some eyes, some people in the especially in the other states are going, "Oh yeah, wanted to lone dog it there, did you?" you know.
The how soon did you know after the disaster that you wanted to do something and do it on this scale? Relief concert.
It was a few days because I was head down on a project I'm working on, and was not really privy to how much the devastation was. And actually, I wasn't here in Austin at the time, and Camilla came to me and goes, "Honey, this is bad. It's real bad." And so I took a few hours out and started looking and reading. And I was like, "Oh shit! I didn't realize the extent." And then she goes, "We got to do something." And so we sat there and we powwowed and thought about, okay, what can we do? And we said, well, let's hustle back home. And now you know what we can do? We can do more than raise awareness. Let's throw a party that is gonna have people be able to donate. Let's start calling first. Let's get entertainment. That was easy. Everyone said yes in 2 minutes. Then it was call Texas businesses, and those were quick yeses. And then it was, as we started off the conversation, you got to pick a date pretty quick, because we could use months to put this thing together perfectly, but it's like, well, no, then this whole tragedy will be in the rearview mirror for most people. So what's the nearest date we can set it to where we can get something done that'll be, a good product, and have it where it's still relevant, and also to remind people of the relevance, because something else will happen between now and the 21st when we broadcast. You know what I mean? Something else will. It's already moving to the back of the pages. And for the reasons we said, the silent sort of killer of water. It's not front page dynamo. It's not. Now, when you go inside the homes, you see it and you realize that it's a longer term problem, and that's what we want to hopefully show the world, show Texans that are already helping Texas, but show the rest of the world that, hey, I was saying this morning, part of that self-reliance is a great thing about Texas in our spirit, because most Texans want to help themselves. But the facts of this situation is that there's a lot of people that want to help themselves that do not have the ability to help themselves right now. So this benefit can hopefully help those people out. And I hope a lot of people understand that they're going to be giving to people that do want to help themselves that just aren't able to right now.
There's something kind of cosmically with the virus, and then with this, you got damage at your place. People with lesser means had damage. That there's just been, in the past year, there's just been this great leveling of people being on the same page. And I mean, you and I sit here and talk on Zoom a few times, and
yep,
people are having more shared experiences, unfortunately shared negative experiences. But how do you then take that and recognize the shared humanity, and let's get on the same page for some positive stuff?
That's the great question. How do we come out of this? Because we will come out of it. Last year, this freeze. How do we come out of it a more evolved species, man? I mean, how do we come out of it with more community, with more trust, when everything is actually, the world's kind of saying, well, we're more separated now. How am I supposed? You want me to trust more? I'm more remote than ever. Community? What do you mean? I'm hanging on to mine. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a trick to pull it off. One thing, which is a question, is And I think it has been. And this is I don't, and in no way am I saying this to deny or underscore the crisis. I am saying that because there's been a crisis for so long, it has a better chance of actually changing who we are as individuals and going, okay, I'm not going back to just how it was. I've actually realigned my values for how I look at life, how I look at my neighbor, how I look at community, how I look at giving a helping hand in any way I can, not just me, but people in general, of us giving a helping hand, how that is good for me too. That's good for each one of us if we can. I mean, so in that way, it's bound to have bound us together in some ways that we don't even realize yet.
Does it make you feel closer to everybody?
I feel, look, for me, it's no longer the physical frontier. It's the mental and the spiritual frontier. And in those ways, I do feel closer because, as you said, we have gone through a collective experience together. Maybe not face to face in the same room, but mentally and spiritually, we've gone through a collective experience that has been awkward at least, tragic at most, and for many. So that's the place. Even when we're free to go engage again physically, it's going to be that mental and physical frontier that we've all gone through that we're going to have to go out and recognize and go, yep, I'm in. I was there with you. I know what you're talking about. Yep, I'm you, you're me. Yeah, we all went through that. It leveled us down to the common denominator, we were all stripped back to necessities. There's value in that if we take advantage of that. And again, I don't think we're going to necessarily see, that's a hope, and I think it can be a reality, but hopefully we don't prove to try and snap right back. Hope we don't prove so elastic that we all humans snap right back and go, good, now I'm back. Whew, yeah, remember that year 2020? Remember 2021? Remember that? No, hopefully we go, that was actually the beginning of newfound trust, of new social contracts, of new belief in ourselves and each other, of new definitions of community, of new definitions of what we call revenue, of what we call profit, of what we call currency. It's a time, what we call success. All those definitions, it's a really opportune time to change those definitions, and they've inevitably been changed through what we've gone through.
And that's going to require, leadership on micro and macro levels. And of course, yesterday you threw a little gas on the fire and said that governor is now a real consideration, a true consideration. So last time we talked, it was, I don't know if politics is the right avenue to affect the change I want to affect, but now it seems like you're creeping more towards that thought. Why are you hedging more towards running now? And do you have a timeline on making a decision?
No, look, I'm not. I would say as far as running, I'm not until I am. So my decision hasn't changed any because I'm still not. Am I giving it honest consideration? Yeah, I'd be a fool not to. And it's an honorable consideration. I still have to answer the same question for myself and my family. Honestly, is that the truest and best category for me to be most useful? I'm ready to step into a leadership position in this next chapter of my life, but I don't know that that's in politics. And as I said in that last conversation, still politics has to redefine its purpose. Politics is somewhat of a broken business in many ways. You go in with there's certain handcuffs you're going into with politics. There's certain places where all you can do is, there's backstabbing, there's band-aids. I'm not really interested in band-aids. I'm tired of the band-aids. Because they don't fix the source of the problem, or someone goes and rips them off once you're out of office. So I'm looking for what is my category to be useful as a leader. And yes, I am considering, and as I said, I'd be a fool not to consider the honor it would be to go into the position of politics of a governor in Texas. But I honestly have to ask myself, how can I be most useful? And maybe that's as a free agent.
I mean, you have a really high Q score, I would imagine, for people that don't know what that means. Like
What?
approval rating of a non-politician. People,
Right.
maybe not everybody loves you, but you definitely have a positive approval rating. So getting into politics can be a nasty business, and all of a sudden 51% of people like you or don't like you. Does that bother you?
No, I mean, I'm 51 now. I'm wise enough to know that what Sammy Davis Jr. said was true. I don't know what success is, but I know failure is trying to please everybody. Sure, I still love the idea of chasing unanimous, but I understand that that's just not realistic. So I don't have those expectations. Look, I'm much more. I'm a meet you in the middle, man, and and when I say aggressively centric, that's not that sometimes gets parceled over there with called, oh, that's a shade of gray, a compromise, and I say bullshit. That's a dare. Right now, that's radical. Oh yeah, you want to be brave? Come on over here. Why? Because you got more agility. Because you got more adaptability. Because there's different situations for different sides. Sometimes the left is better at this. Sometimes the right. There's different choices for different circumstances. And right now, where politics has gone, where in the great divide, not only in Texas but the United States, you got the left thinks the right's racist and the right thinks the left's socialist. Well, that ain't true. And then you go, well, the left is for, empathy and compassion and solidarity. Well, the right's for resilience and work ethic and responsibility. I'm like, I like all six of those. I like all six of those. Those are values that our mamas taught us, man. The right and the left don't have ownership of those, excluding the other side. They ain't had ownership of those. Those are here.
So would you be thinking about a Jesse Ventura independent run, or would you run under a party's ticket, or is that undecided?
I hadn't got that far yet. Like I said, I'm just in the zone of actually trying to look it in the eye and really consider. And you know what? Even if and as of right now, I'm not. It's a wonderful, like I said, an honorable thing to even be able to project and think, what would you do? How you feel? What does that entail? It's an awesome position to be in. And I would be a fool not to actually look it in the eye and consider what that would mean for me. What that could mean for Texas,
How do you project? So as your Minister of Culture role at UT, you've seen, I imagine, saw the report that came out just this week saying that they decided the Eyes of Texas overtly racist, but that, due to people's histories and personal relationships with the song, it can mean different things to different people, but, they're not going to discontinue the song. What were your thoughts on that report and on a song that has meant so much to the university in evolving ways?
Right. Well, trust me, I've been so damn busy with this benefit, I hadn't had time to read the, 65, 95 page report.
Right.
My opinion very early on was, when I said, don't change the eyes, change the way the eyes see. And what I mean by that is, remember earlier I was talking about, we got to redefine things like revenue, currency, profit, success. Words and songs and movies and art and actions get hijacked over time. And sometimes they get hijacked for good, and sometimes they get hijacked by tyrants. Well, I'm for, if there, as a prescriptionist, as someone who likes the origin of words and meanings, I'm like, we got to look back at certain things and go, wait, was this hijacked by a tyrant along the way? Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that you get rid of, throw it out in the baby in the bathwater. It means you go, no, let's take it back. And take it back to mean what it should mean, as a measure of excellence and honor So I'm happy that was the case. I'm glad they went and studied it. They went and, I didn't have the capacity to go back and look as in depth as they did. I think intent is a really important word. The racist intent. I think intent is a word that we should give more import to more things in life, because not just with the eyes of Texas, but in our human dealings, intent is under it doesn't. I don't think we give enough credit to intent. And these days, someone's intent can be well and good, but if it's not received that way, that doesn't always mean you get rid of the person who intended. It does mean you may go, hey, what you intended is not how it landed on me, so let's talk about this. Oh, that's what it meant to you? Oh, it's what it means to me. Okay, now I did not know that. Thank you. Let's turn a page. So that gives us room to grow a little bit. So that's where I sit on the eyes. I'm happy that the report came out to be that, because that's what the song's meant to me. And that's what I believe, that's what I see as the University of Texas, how that song, in whatever form, we have used it. And we have had honor with it, what it means to the University of Texas. And so I hope it sticks. I hope that everybody, that all the races come together and go, hey, I see what this song means, and we're gonna stand behind this song for the goodness and honor that it means. And if somebody, tried to put a black eye on it in the past, well, shame on them. Shame on them. It's ours now.
I'm not going to do some internet research and find out that you trademarked the phrase "meet me in the middle" already, have I?
Check it out. I don't know.
What's the speaking of sports? Your team, Austin FC, they announced yesterday April is going to be the beginning of the season, and in June 19th, I believe, will be the first home game.
San Jose at home.
Yeah, and on a level of, on a level of, Wooderson to Beach Bum, how high is your Stoke level for the season?
That's a great measuring stick. Wooderson to Beach Bum. That's the right two to pick, too, for us. This is going to be fun, and it's going to get carny. And I'm very excited because I feel like I'm in this. I'm part of introducing it. One, the game of soccer in America is still on the come. Two, we finally got the game to our city, and our city now can root for our city through the game of football that Americans call soccer. No city in the world is more ripe for the game of soccer to be here, for so many reasons. For the diversity of the people that live here, for our rapid growth, for our core DNA and ethos of who we are, being young, progressive, risk-taking, imaginative. That hopefully the team mirrors the best of Austin, and Austin will mirror and that can be Austin will be the flag bearer of Austin. So many people, you and I've talked about before. Most people in Austin didn't go to University of Texas, especially now. It's an international destination. And, while Austin FC is not competing for fans with UT, I actually think it'll help. And I'd like to get a little brotherly and sisterly love going between UT and Austin FC in that way, because we're not competing for game times or even really in the same sport. It's the right game in the right city at the right time. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm really excited about the beginning, but I'm also I have a vision for okay, what's this 20 years from now? What is it 10 years from now? How can this become actually a legendary club, not only in the city, but how in 10 years does MLS and soccer globally look and go? Do you see what they got going in Austin? Do you see what they brought to soccer? Do you see what they brought to the global game of football? Whoa, we hadn't seen it done like that. So that's exciting to me on a global level.
circling back before I let you go about the event, did you reach out to these musicians individually? What did those conversations look like, and how did their feedback and response feel to you in terms of trying to lead a team?
Yeah, I reached out across the board individually. Um, some of them it was hard to get their cell number. Most of them it wasn't. I pitched them on what I was doing and what I was asking them, and they were just about everybody was an immediate yes before I could quit talking. Before I could quit talking, my first proposal, they're like, "I'm in, I'm in." So actually, that was pretty easy because the artists were just like, "Yep, I get it. Say no more. Tell me what you want me to do and where to send it." And that happened pretty much across the board. Then the challenge just became, okay, geez, I don't think we want a 10-hour show because Texas is full of talent. And have you seen the sheet of who we got?
Yeah,
I think it's really impressive and strong, and it covers, a lot of different genres of music that we got here in Texas as well. But everyone was quick yeses and like, I get it, I'm here, yep. And I said, the theme is We're Texas. Just give a little presentation before you come on, tell them where you're from. And then also I was like, hey, this should be a revival. This is like restoration and revival. This shouldn't be a sob show. Let's come on and yeah, we're going to have human stories that are going to pull at the heartstrings because they should, and they're real. But I'm looking at my position as not less of a host and more of a DJ. Let me outro songs, intro songs. Here we go, coming to this, coming out of that. Here's what we got. Let's evangel some good stuff. And hopefully, share with the world our music, our specific problem we have right now, and give everyone a means to help fix something that is fixable and needs immediate fixing.
Well, I appreciate it. We look forward to it. Thanks again for the time, man.
Appreciate it, Matt. Speak to you.
Take care.